guys, welcome back to my channel. So I kind of thought it'd be a good idea to do like a behind the scenes series on this channel just because in our vlogs we don't necessarily have a bunch of these things come up that I'm about to talk about, but it's something that I know is going to be asked over and over again. And so I kind of thought I'd do a backstory on it. So this is just one of the videos on one of those topics that I know we will be asked about a lot. Okay, so I guess the biggest question that I know I'm going to get asked is, what's it like being a young mom / what is the whole story behind that? I found out that I was pregnant with Raylan when I had just turned 20 years old, and I had just known Powell for, I think, honestly, a little over 5 months. I had not even... No, I'd known him for longer than that, but we had only been, like, talking for about 5 months. That is going to be, like, a whole nother video in itself, because that's, like, another long story. But very shortly after we started dating, I found out that I was pregnant. A backstory to that. Birth control failures do happen, and that's another huge thing I want to talk about in this video, is that, you know, you need to be protected as much as possible. Like, if you're using one method, honest to God, don't just rely on that method. You need to use multiple things because things happen, and they happen all the time. Look all over YouTube. Like, I'm a prime example of it. He wasn't even supposed to really be able to have kids. He went through multiple rounds of trial chemo and radiation when he had cancer, which is, once again, a whole other video. But it was basically two things, like, we should not have been able to get pregnant, and it happened. We weren't prepared for it. You know, we both were in school getting our cosmetology license, and, you know, I planned on moving to New York City. Like, there were just so many things, like, we totally weren't planning for this at all. There were actually a couple of things that led me to believe that I was pregnant. So I went and got a tattoo with him, I think in, like, January, it was, like, mid to end February of that year, and I meant, like, many other tattoos. I know how my body takes ink, and this one, like, rejected ink like crazy. It got infected. It was just a bad situation. And then also another night, we decided to bleach all my hair, and it turned out looking like cheetah print everywhere, and it was, like, horrifying. And then on top of that, the day before I found out I was pregnant, I jumped onto his bed, and it felt like someone had taken knives to, like, my chest area. So we decided to get a test, and I had just told someone the day before, you know, she was telling me that she was worried she was pregnant, she was a little bit late on her period, and I was like, oh, no, girl, you're fine. I'm, like, 3 or 4 days late, and I know I'm okay. Like, sometimes, you know, being around this many women, things can just get crazy, because we were in a cosmetology school. So I took a test, and it came out positive, and you just don't ever think it's going to happen to you. And at that age, you think any effort not to is a good enough effort, and I'm here to tell you that that is simply not true. And if you are engaging in any sort of sexual intercourse, prepare for anything to happen. I literally cannot for the life of me describe the feeling that I had in that moment because it was so insane and intense and horrifying. And I feel like when you're just so unaware, like when you know you're practicing safe methods and when you know, like, there's just no way, and you always think it's not going to be you, and you always think that, you know, you're invincible, you're a teenager, you just literally don't know. Like, it literally smacks you like a brick to the face. So after that, we had a lot of hurdles to go through. Like, it was just very difficult being young and pregnant, and then difficult being young parent. And once again, I am not condoning early pregnancy or trying to get pregnant. That's not what I'm doing. I'm literally just telling our personal experience and how we have handled it. Okay, now that that disclaimer is over, so I had a hard time during my pregnancy. I got a lot of dirty looks, you know, a lot of people did not agree, regardless of if they knew the situation or not. I lost a ton of friends. I was called some pretty awful names. It was just an overall kind of rough experience that no one really knew about other than Powell and my sister. They're pretty much the only ones who understood, like, the things that were being said to me and the people that I lost and kind of what I was going through. So being that young, the doctor that I went to would not take me seriously, which really sucked because I actually have a couple of medical conditions that really need to be carefully watched. I warned him from 20 weeks on, basically, that I, was having issues that kind of pointed towards preeclampsia. And if you are young, I just want you to know that it's like a huge risk in your pregnancy is high blood pressure, so just FYI. From 20 weeks on, I kind of told him I was concerned. I would call, say I'm literally swelling up like crazy, wasn't taken seriously, and then sure enough, I ended up with preeclampsia. So that's just one thing. Like, he would laugh at me on the phone, just kind of make me feel stupid, I guess. And I know it's because he thought I was young, didn't know what I was doing. I probably had, called Dr. Google up and been like, hey, what does this mean? And then on top of that, it was just difficult for me to even get them to make me an appointment to begin with. So that was one struggle when it came to being a young mom and going to, the doctor. So when I delivered Raylan also, we totally were treated not well at all. I love the hospital itself, but we were treated like people were turning their nose up to us. Our nurse, our original nurse was awesome, but once we got to postpartum, we asked questions like any normal first-time parent would. But they kind of, I guess, took it as oh, they're young parents, that's why they're asking all of this. We didn't know how to swaddle. I didn't know what to do when she was choking. It was horrifying. And, they treated us like we were stupid because of all the questions we were asking. So that's another thing that we had to deal with. Once she was born, we struggled a lot with looks from people, when we would go out and go to the grocery store or go to Target or, the pediatrician's office was just a whole other thing I don't even want to get into. There's just this stigma around young parents that, they were irresponsible, they can't handle this, they don't know how to be a parent, and in our case, that's just not it. We were being responsible, and we are great parents, at least I like to think so, and we did everything we could to make sure we were ready for her and we could support her. My husband is literally the best thing in the whole entire world. He has worked so hard. So I feel with all that being said, if you're watching this video and you judge young parents and you think badly of them or you are agreeing with the stigma around them, if you take anything from this video, let it just be that you just don't know. You don't know how it happened, why it happened, what they're doing. You don't know the behind-the-scenes things that they're worrying about every single night or that they're stressing about, how hard they're working. You just don't know. So if you take anything from this, like I said, just let it be that you just support them, just be there. And, don't make them feel guilty. They're already struggling with it enough. And that was, probably one of the biggest problems that Pal and I had is that, we were already struggling so hard with accepting it and figuring out how to become, go from children to adults in a matter of 9 months. We had to grow up instantly, and I wasn't even 21 yet. I still acted like the biggest stupid dumb teenager in the whole entire world when I got pregnant. You have to grow up so fast. So it's you don't know, the struggles that we were already having. It's we don't need you to tell us over and over again, that we are making a mistake or our life is over, which is the biggest thing, literally the biggest thing that I heard as a young mom was, oh, your life is over now. Your life is over. And ironically enough, it was always from one of my friends or someone who was younger who just assumed that I wouldn't be able to be my own person still after I had a kid, which it just wasn't true. I'm still me, I'm still here, I still do fun things, I'm the same exact person, my life's not over. I just have, a bigger family, and I love every single one of them. So, we definitely were given a lot of crap. Sorry if the angle and everything changed. I had to go get Raylan pretzels real quick, and I knocked the camera down. But, so that brings me to Liam. He was planned. I had him at the age of 23. I got pregnant right after I turned 23. He was a planned baby, and we would not have brought him into this world if we did not have, the ability to take care of him the way he needed to be taken care of. But for some reason, the stigma from Raylan just followed us right on over to Liam, and, you know, we told a lot of people, and they were all very excited. Our family was really excited for us, but, you know, we still had a couple reactions that were like, what'd you win the lottery? Like, why are you bringing another baby into the world? That could be the only possible way you could do it. Like, just people didn't understand that after 2.5, 3 years, if you're working hard enough, your situation can change drastically. And, you know, it was almost like offensive and disheartening to us to see so many people that, you know, and we haven't even talked about this to, like, anyone we pretty much know, but to see so many people still just doubt your ability. Like, 2.5, 3 years after the fact, people still don't think you know what you're doing. They still don't think you can handle having a child. And, you know, even when they see that you've been working so incredibly hard, they just still give you that same stigma where it's like, oh, you're a young parent, you can't possibly do anything right. Like, it just really sucked. And, you know, it's something that we still struggle with, and we're going to continue to struggle with it. And me and Powell talk about it all the time. Like, when Raylan's older and she's in school, you know, I remember talking about this with my friends, and I specifically remember one friend whose parent had him when she was, I think it was like 18 years old. Like, kids know a lot more than you think they do. She's probably going to be made fun of for it. Like, kids are going to bring it up, be like, well, how old are your parents? Like, oh, they're that young, mine are this old. Like, what, your parents had you that young? Like, yada, yada, yada. Like, it's something that, you know, a lot of people aren't going to have to think about, and it's just another thing that me and Paula are going to have to struggle with and explain later on in life. Like, what if she, you know what I mean, resents us or is angry at us because she's made fun of, and, you know, that's just another thing that we're going to have to deal with. And it relates back to what I said before. Like, this stigma just needs to stop. Like, instead of taking the time to teach these children, like, how to, you know, have safe sex and give people precautionary measures, we are instead ignoring it and acting like it's so taboo that we can't even talk about it. And then when all these kids fall pregnant, we're like, oh, shame on you. When they're like, well, you know, maybe you should have taught me something. Or if I'd known better, like, you know, you can't do that and then expect people to live this life, you know, in fear of what every single other person is going to think about them and think of their children for the rest of their life. You know, yeah, you make your bed, you lay in it, but, you know, it's also the responsibility of the rest of the community to make sure that these people have the resources that they need and make sure that teen parents, you know, this doesn't happen, and it doesn't happen as often, and when it does, we actually support them and help them make themselves better, and that just does not happen the way that it should. So this doesn't just affect us now, it didn't just affect us then. We are 3 years later, and we're still affected by it, and we're probably going to be affected by it for the rest of our lives. And not in a sense that we're struggling, that we're unhappy, but in a sense that everyone else cannot get past their judgment. You know, it's happened. There's nothing we can do about it. Any teen mom, you know, it's happened. There's nothing they can do about it. You know, the only thing that you can do is progress as a person, progress as a family, and, you know, if society is still going to shit on you, excuse my language, you know, for bettering yourself, like, you know, and you're going to struggle the rest of your life because everyone is going to just see you as that one moment when you got pregnant as an irresponsible teenager or young person. Like, you know, what are any of us going to do? You know, like, we shouldn't have to suffer when we are trying so hard to make ourselves better and, like, make our lives better for our family. And, like, that is just, like, my biggest message when it comes to being a young mom, is I want other people to understand that that was a moment of bad decision making. That was one moment in our lives, and a lot of us have done nothing but struggle to succeed ever since then, and that is how we should be seen, instead of just some young parent and some stigma and, you know, the person that gets made fun of and talked crap about at the grocery store. Like, that shouldn't be how we're seen. I shouldn't have had to deal with that with him. You know, it's just BS. I just made this so that other young moms my age can know that, you know, I understand that you're still struggling, and I'm still struggling too, and we're probably going to keep struggling, and that's okay because we're here for each other. And just to let other young moms or teens that just found out that they're pregnant that it's okay, you will get through it. It'll be a struggle, and it's going to suck, and you're going to literally struggle the rest of your life. But, you know, your children are so worth it, and, you know, you will get through it. Because I know there's, like, a lot of people who just don't have the resources, they don't have the people in their lives to help them through it, you know, and I want to let you guys know that we are all here. There's literally a gigantic YouTube community of all of us, of young parents who are all here to support each other and just show you that it's okay, we went through it too. It'll pass, like it will pass. And, you know, I'm here. If there's anyone who needs to talk, if there's anyone who's struggling with anything, you know, like, been there, done that, I'm sure I've been through it, and I'm sure I can tell you how I got through it to begin with. Just make the best decisions and, you know, be there for each other and don't judge anyone. Always hear someone's story out. And, you know that if you are young and pregnant, there are people out there who will support you and will be there for you. That's basically what I wanted to get out with this video, because I can't even tell you how many of these videos like I searched for and I watched, you know, when I was pregnant and horrified, and I felt so lonely because at the time I was literally living in my uncle's apartment. Like, I had nobody. I had no one. Like, I had Powell, and we were so horrified together. Like, this community, this YouTube community made me feel so much stronger, and like, I knew more of what to expect. And, you know, we're here, everyone's here to help you, so if you need anything, just message me, or, you know, I just want to be here to relate, you know what I mean? I want you to relate to this video and understand you're not alone. So I really hope you enjoyed this. Please check out my links below to all my social media sites. We do vlogs every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we do random videos like this in between. So we should have more of the series coming up, you know, in the next couple of weeks, to just keep introducing ourselves and kind of telling our backstory and, you know, how we are where we are. So I hope you guys enjoyed. See ya!